Sir Gideon Ofnir, the All-Knowing!
Alright, now we can actually start talking about
can we talk about Elden Ring? Grant, please, I've been dying to talk about Elden Ring.
Yes, absolutely. What specifically, if you want to get your note out...
Okay, I have my note out. I'll just quickly read to you the 3 things that I have on here. Number 1, and I'll elaborate on all of these later. Number 1, runes could scale.
Runes could scale.
I'll explain that later. Okay. The second one is Sir Gideon Ofnir, the All-Knowing!
Okay.
And then the third is the cliffs. Oh god, the cliffs.
Okay. And I'll read my note, of which I have 0.
Sir Gideon.
Sir Gideon Ofnir. More importantly, game's great. Game is fantastic.
I'm loving it. This is my first FromSoft game. Mm-hmm. And I've fallen in love with it. You know, it's inspired me to maybe start playing some more FromSoft games. So basically, I'm as big a fan as you, Grant. Now, so I'm here today to talk about why Elden Ring should have a pause button and why it should have an easy mode.
Shut up. I mean, it does have an easy mode. You just do other things before you get to the bosses.
That's true. My easy mode is just grinding all the way to level 87 first.
And then fighting Radahn.
Yeah.
I fought Radahn at level 60, and I hated my life.
You know what? He wasn't so bad, other than that one meteor move where he crashes back down. Oh, spoilers, by the way. You should have guessed by the title.
Just throw something up.
Yeah. The one meteor move... That would just kill me instantly.
Is it the one where he summons the meteors in front of him at a distance and then they rapid fire at you? Or?
No, the one where he you get him down to half health and then he disappears for 30 seconds. You're like, what's going on? What's going on?
Fucking transcends to the stratosphere.
Yeah. First time I saw it happen, it came from the moon and I was like, oh my god, he is a demigod.
Dude, the first time it happened, my camera wasn't locked on him. So all of a sudden, I see him gone, and the next thing I see is... Alex the Iron Fist has been defeated. Blyde the Half-Wolf has been defeated. And I'm just what the fuck?
I don't care as long as Pot Bro survived. As long as the Pothead survived.
Well, that was Alexander.
My pot
and he wasn't.
What?
Alexander.
Yeah, I know. I know his name, but I like calling him Pot Bro because he was my favorite. Mm-hmm. Because the first time I met him, he was in the dungeon. He was like, "Huzzah! A door has opened from nowhere. It just appeared here. Before that, it was a wall."
Jesus Christ. All right. So let's talk about I can sing praises to this game.
Yeah.
For hours. Just fantastically well crafted.
Yeah.
Plenty of lore to sink your teeth into.
Mm-hmm. Or lore that I don't understand, but lore.
Well, that's the Souls gimmick. It gives you enough to understand the main concept.
Yeah,
But then it's just everything else is hidden behind 20 different layers of obtuse fucking item descriptions.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I remember I sent you a message a while ago. I think it was something like. My first decree as Elden Lord after obtaining the Elden Ring shall be that everyone calls it the Elden Bling. And then you're like, is it a ring? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe? And then I started having my doubts. I still haven't gotten the Elden Ring, so it's but why would FromSoft make it that easy to understand?
So it's this weird, grand, it's some sort of ultimate power, I think. It's it is a ring.
Is it a ring?
But not a traditional Lord of the Rings ring.
Right. It's not the Ring of Power.
It's this ring that's exists in the sky.
What?
It's some sort of
Halo.
It's some sort of world order thing. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Okay.
It's more of a conceptual thing than a physical thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I really wanted it to just be a ring that I put on and say, "Now I am your lord
of the Elden Bling."
The Elden Bling.
So let's talk about a few critiques.
Okay, number 1, most important of all, Sir Gideon Ofnir, the All-Knowing. Mm-hmm. Not actually all-knowing. He just wants to be, which is very underwhelming.
But he does know the location of 5 demigods. And it's only missing 4, and one of them doesn't matter.
You know what that is? That is the exact opposite of all-knowing.
That's true. I'm like halfway, so I haven't completed the game. Neither Lake nor I have completed this game.
Yeah.
I have gotten farther between us.
I have played around 60 hours of it, though.
Mm-hmm.
So I played a good amount of it. Enough to have an understanding of, whether or not I like the game and any critiques that I might have, which I do.
So I believe if we had to position ourselves in terms of where we were at in the game, I have defeated 4 of the demigods.
I have defeated 2.
Okay. And Morgott was my 4th demigod slain. So
okay.
For people who know the game and know where that is, that's where I'm at.
My 2 were Godric the Grafted and the guy with the tiny little horse.
Radon.
No, wait, no, he's not a tiny little horse. It's a normal-sized horse. The guy was just enormous.
No. It's actually, in the lore, his horse was described as a wimpy.
Oh, really?
His horse... Yeah. So in the
and he uses, gravity...
He learned gravity magic for the sake...
Of not having to leave behind his horse?
Yes!
That's like the sweetest thing.
It's also fucking nerdy as hell, and I love it.
Yeah. He eats everyone. He devours his best friends, but he loves his horse.
Well, it's not his fault.
I didn't... Yeah, but regardless, my point still stands.
Yeah, amazing how he hasn't devoured his horse yet.
Yeah. Okay, let me pull back out this list and see what's next on the... Oh, Sir Gideonoff near the All-Knowing was on there.
Yeah, we already talked about him.
Yeah, you're right.
Not all-knowing.
Not all-knowing.
But he had one hell of a hype entrance.
He had... Fucking... Goddamn, the narrator... It's like fucking the biased Smash Bros. Narrator. Mario! Luigi! Kirby!
Yeah,
Ganondorf.
He's very, somber throughout, the killing of Godric. Not Godric, Godfrey.
Godfrey.
But the moment we start talking about the Tarnished, he's like, yo, those are my guys. Those are my bros. Let me talk about the Tarnished real fast.
The vile Dung Eater? But Sir Gideonoff!
I've met the Dung Eater.
Yeah,
He's a fucking asshole.
I know. I met him too. The door opened for me. And, I just walked up and I was just like, hey, man, I heard your intro, or I heard the narrator put you down in the intro of this video game. And he's like, what's a video game? Fuck you.
Yeah, I was like, hey, man, I want to be your friend. And then he was like, if you disturb my quietude, I will kill you. And the only reason why I haven't is because the vow of whatever the fuck.
He said it's because of the serenity.
Of the hold.
Yeah, yeah, but he doesn't just say death. He says defilement too.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering exactly what he means by that.
Well, so I got his quest-related item, and I went back to chat with him. If you don't mind me telling you what happens here.
I kind of do, but I also... I read online that you get a chance to kill him later on, so I'm going to do that.
Well, so that's... I found his quest item.
Okay.
And he was like, you found the whatever, the pox or whatever. That's good. Fucking meet me at 5.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much. He was like, show up in the sewers. Fucking fight me. You won't. You goddamn pussy. And I was like... Alright, I'll be back.
Alright.
As soon as I find you, because Lindale is a fucking travesty to try to go through.
Fucking... The real travesty is that, that fucking labyrinth near the Erd tree north of, Stormville Castle. It is literally a labyrinth made of cliffs. And it drove me insane for 2 hours before I just realized that that's not how the game works.
You're talking about the northwest of Liurna. Yes. Yes, I know what you're talking about. I actually found the workaround to get up there. And let me tell you, Lake, I don't think it was worth it. There's some sort of asshole Eye of Sauron up there that just stares at you, and it gets you really frustrated and mad and inflicts frenzy. And, I can't... There's no discernible. Like, I can't discern where I need to stand. Because, like, you think, like, you know, if I just stand behind the rocks, it can't see me, right? Because, you know, it's sight reliance. But apparently, it looks through rocks. But not all the rocks. Just some of the rocks. And I can't figure out which rocks are the rocks it can see through and which rocks it can't. Because sometimes, like, it won't see through the rocks at first, but if it concentrates really hard, like really hard, if it just gets a few extra eye drops on, it's like, yes, I have X-ray vision again. And it's like, what the fuck?
That story reminds me of two anecdotes that I have about the game.
Yeah.
The first one being, because you hid behind the rock. So, I think I told you this before, but I might as well put it on recording. I was running through the forest, and they're one of those big, giant, fuck-off bears that, like...
Yeah.
At early levels, they will just homicide your entire person.
Yeah, rune bears.
And I saw one, and I was like, oh, shit, I gotta get out, I gotta hide. And I ran behind a fucking boulder. And...
Yes, you have.
And then I was like, okay, I don't think the bear can see me. And then I took a closer look at the boulder, and it wasn't a boulder. It was another giant bear. It was just sleeping. So that was fun. It was something straight out of a cartoon. Secondly, before I realized that the invaders were actually NPCs, before that I thought they were other players coming from other games. And the reason I found out that they weren't, or like how I found out that they weren't other players, was I jumped down that, down to that area in the hold where that guy with the scythe attacks you.
Yeah.
Invades you, and I kept dying, but I was like, I can't leave my runes behind. So I kept jumping back down, grabbing it, and then running through the hallways and hiding before he even spawned.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy just zoned in on. He knew exactly where I was hiding.
So that's
he didn't even have to look at me. And then I was like, hold on, this is not a player.
Yeah. Well, how many times were you invaded by him before you figured out that he was not a player?
Like 3 maybe.
Okay. Now there's definitely, I don't know how they set up their invasion system. I imagine it has something to do with, like, if you're playing multiplayer, you'll be invaded by another player.
Yeah.
I've never been invaded.
I wouldn't know how to tell if it was a player or an NPC.
It's usually their names are more dumb.
Well, but like, see, like, for instance, I just have like a normal name.
Yeah, well,
like, I usually have normal names in video games, so like, I assume there's got to be someone out there like me.
Well, yeah, but some people will, like, you know, name their character something stupid, like Scatman. No,
who are you calling out, Grant?
I don't know. It's either you or Tristan. I'll let the audience take a guess. One of you is here, and one of you is not.
Oh, you know what I find really funny?
What?
Okay, so, been off topic for a second, but it's topical. In our Resident Evil 8 playthrough,
yes.
Episode 1,
yes,
you make this deal out of how the sneaking, the crouch button made no sense.
Yes.
Well, guess fucking what, motherfucker?
What?
Elden Ring has exactly the same crouch button.
You know what?
What?
The difference is, I like Elden Ring more.
That's a bullshit reason.
Yes, no it isn't.
Yeah, it is.
No it isn't.
That's a pretty bullshit reason.
Elden Ring, it makes a lot more sense.
How?
Because, in my opinion, it makes a lot more sense.
Fuck you, Grant.
Well, because, so, first off, I never played a Resident Evil game at that point in time. So...
Yeah. What? Wait, didn't you play 7 before that?
I played 7 only after we started 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And really, there is no defense that I can conjure for this. But for me, with Elden Ring, it just made a lot more sense. Because that button, the pressing in the left stick, never really had any significant control to it in any of the other Soulsborne games.
I mean, to be fair, it didn't in the previous Resident Evils either, other than 7. But like,
well, I was gonna say, like, maybe Sekiro had a crouch. I don't remember. It's been a really long time since I played that one. but I know for a fact that the only thing it was linked to in like maybe like any of the Dark Souls was it was linked to the weird like run and jump, which was, I mean, if you want to talk about like a fucking 12-button combo like in Assassin's Creed, fucking jumping in Soulsborne games like Bloodborne, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3. I imagine Demon Souls had a jump. Don't quote me. I never played that one. The point is, all these like jumps prior to this were just fucking painful to do. And like they really didn't give you much vertical momentum. But in Elden Ring, you got the hops. You jump like straight up like 10 feet in the air.
That's bullshit.
Yeah. Speaking about Elden Ring, back to the topic matter.
Real quick.
Okay.
Both Breath of the Wild, Fallout 4, also crouch with the left analog stick.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just saying it's common.
Oh, well, I didn't crouch in that. Whatever. Not the point. We're talking about Elden Ring here.
Yeah, we're talking about Elden Ring.
So, other critique of Elden Ring. This one I feel a lot more prominent, and this one we bore witness to just a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
The health to damage ratio is
totally fair.
I don't like it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not. So there's nothing wrong with your bosses doing a fuck ton of damage. But when your character, like in my case, has like 38 health, has like, a stupid amount of health, right? I invested in the vigor stat.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really fun when you go up to a boss for the first time and they just kind of like one-shot you with a move that you've never seen before.
But they usually put stakes of Marika?
Stakes of Marika, yes.
Marika, yeah. Stakes of Marika out there.
Not all the time.
You know what I don't like? I'm sorry, were you finished?
Yeah, I just think, I think, like, the damage... Like, I understand that the game's supposed to be hard, but I think what I don't like, especially... Because I can't think of anything in Dark Souls 3 or, like, the original Dark Souls that gets anywhere close. Like, I can remember getting hit with big damage, but not, like, getting one-tapped, essentially, unless I, like, didn't invest in vigor at all. Is just the damage to health ratio. It's not... There needs to be a bit of leeway for players to learn the moveset. And if you're just getting, like, one-touched, essentially, if you're playing Rocket Tag with the boss... Because that's not my first experience with it either. I know I was fighting Magma Worm Makar, and I had like 24 or 25 HP. And he has this huge, like, double-handed overhead attack that has a stupid long shockwave for it. And like the first time you see it, he has this huge pause window, so you don't quite know when to dodge. Plus, like, he's really big. So the camera kind of fucks, like, it freaks out when he's doing this. Especially in Phase 2 when he's, like, standing on his hind legs.
Well, I think maybe that's just, like, the game telling you go level up more.
I don't think it is, though. Okay. Because, like, I think in my case I was, like, level 50.
Well, okay, so... the game does have to be hard, right? That's just like the core FromSoft fan base wants their games to be hair pull out hard.
Yeah.
Right? So they added the stake of Marika, which is
the checkpoint.
Right, the checkpoint that right outside boss fights. So I think you kind of have to have like some sort of trade-off in order for like longtime fans to not feel alienated by that.
Yeah, but I don't think there's much fun to just being like, oh, I fucked up one time and now I'm dead. Like, my point is... You
want to know what I find unfun?
The cliffs?
I was going to talk about the runes. Because remember first
oh, right.
thing on here, runes could scale?
Yes.
Okay. I don't like losing all my runes when I die.
Okay.
Now, the reason behind that... Because, like, I know the game has to be hard and difficult, and it has to be like, it has to be hardcore, right? But that doesn't really make the game harder. It just is annoying when it happens. I mean, it's padding.
I would argue that it does make the game harder.
Okay, in what way?
Because now you're tensed up about your runes. Now you're gonna play like shit because you're scrambling to get your runes before you die again. And like that's something that's happened to me.
Well, sure, but I don't think it's in a satisfying way.
Well, so
I think it, like, once you lose your runes and you're scrambling to get your runes back every boss fight, it's just this superfluous step in fighting the boss, where it's like, oh, you died? Okay, well, first thing you gotta do is you gotta run and grab your runes, you know what I mean?
Yeah, or you could choose to just ignore your runes completely.
But who's gonna do that?
Me.
You're a madman.
Well, because the boss is gonna give you more runes than the runes that you have.
Maybe.
Probably,
unless you have like 2k runes on you.
Well, at certain points, 2k.
I mean, 20k is what.
Well, I mean, I know you're making fun of me right now because I lost 20k runes earlier. But the guy yielded 8k runes in return.
8k is not as much as 20.
80k. Excuse me.
Okay, but also that was like an end game boss.
Well, yeah, but I'm at an in-game level. 20k is like less than half.
Okay, I have two potential solutions in my mind for this problem.
Okay.
Right? Okay, the number one is the obvious and, in my opinion, the less good option. Mm-hmm. But you could just not have the player lose the runes. Okay? Because what's going to happen when you do that is the player is going to run into the boss fight, they're going to die, then they're going to just do it over again. They're just going to keep throwing themselves at this boss until they either beat it or just leave and move on, right? Because it's too tough. But by making you lose your runes, you're just arbitrarily setting the player back, right? And it's like in games like Simon's Quest, mm-hmm. right? Where you lose all your shit when you die, but does that improve the game in any way? No, like, it's just padding. Like, it's just making the game artificially longer.
I don't agree with that.
Now, hear me out.
But I'll listen to you.
Here's my second. So,
yes.
You have told me before that losing your runes creates this risk-reward relationship with the game, right? Now, I don't really agree with that because you're not actually... Like the reward that you get from defeating the boss has no relation to the amount that you're risking. Now, what if the amount of runes that you got from any given enemy got higher the more runes you carried on you when you entered that boss fight? Think about how that would affect the game, right? Like, you could risk losing 20k runes in exchange for the possibility to get even more.
So, here is a feature that I've yet to fully understand, and I have not looked into it. There might be something equivocal to that in the game.
Okay.
Because I know there are certain enemies who have... And I need to do a full dive into this, because I've seen it happen. But sometimes I enter levels that I've died in, probably, and there's this little icon that pops up that shouldn't be there, unless I've been using items like in my sleep or something.
Okay.
And it seems to basically give enemies more runes when you kill them, and you can tell which enemies those are because their eyes have some weird sort of effect to them. Not like the Frenzy Flame effect where they're like yellow and on fire.
Does that have any relation to how many runes you actually carry?
It does. I don't know about that part.
Well,
all I know is that there are certain areas where I have died, Shaded Castle specifically, and one of the lesser enemies in the Shaded Castle had his eyes basically on fire, and when I killed him, he yielded like several times more than what he normally did. Like, he went from dropping 100 to 700.
Uh-huh. Well, I did notice that at some point when I was farming those little guys outside of...
the little militiamen, as I called them, outside of Beast Sanctum.
Yeah, those guys. Some of them dropped 1,300, some of them dropped 1K.
Yeah, that's the eye effect that I mentioned.
Is it?
I think so, because they also have that effect applied to them sometimes. Because it's happened to me once. I do not know what's the triggering mechanism behind it. I have yet to figure that out. I've yet to figure out why, when you walk into the area, sometimes you get the foul foot icon. Sometimes you don't, and I don't know how that all intermingles. And that's not uncommon, because no one... It's kind of like the Baldachin Blessing. No one tells you, when you accept the Baldachin Blessing, that you're going to lose 5% of your health.
That you're going to get an STD.
Pretty much.
I mean, okay, it was written by George R.R. Martin, right?
Well, yeah, but no one told you that when you get a Baldachin's Blessing and you hug Fia, that you lose 5% of your health.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think it's like a metaphor for getting a secret STD after you bang a chick that you just don't know about.
Well, and that's,
I think that's kind of the point.
And that leads into kind of like the secret mechanics of this game, where like I think we're still trying to figure it all out.
Okay.
And that's not surprising. Dark Souls is known for having some really abstract shit. A lot of it's superfluous, but in this case, it's not. Now, I will say, going back to the runes, and not keeping it when you die and all that. It doesn't.
Okay, that, like I said, I don't think that you need to keep your runes when you die. I think a better and more elegant solution is to have enemy drop more runes the more you have on you, and I think that would create a really interesting player game dynamic where you're gambling every time you fight. If you have enough runes to level up, well, you could, or do you want to try and fight that boss and get like 2 level ups, like risk 1 level up for 2?
So that's probably a better idea than just the player keeps their souls. What I was gonna say is the losing of your runes, the losing of your souls, the losing of your blood echoes is a staple to the Souls game. It's a staple to the FromSoft in general. So to take that away is to basically take away part of the identity of the game. Now, well, I know. I mean, I'm a big Zelda fan, right? So, like, going into Breath of the Wild, like, they took a lot away from what made Zelda games, and it was the right decision. So, I to a degree, like, I understand wholeheartedly that, like, it's a staple, but sometimes staples can be broken. Dark Souls is an old game. Not everything from Dark Souls is needs to be continued for the game to be good. Well, I would argue that this is one of them. And here, let me explain something. When you talked about it, you explained specifically, you looked at this in the vacuum of a boss room. I think that we are not giving enough credit to just in the overworld. Yes, this happens in the boss room where, like, you might die in the boss room and so your souls are trapped in there. Now, there are plenty of ways to get those runes, get those souls, and keep them even after dying. There's items for this. The sacrificial twig.
Yeah, that's true. But oftentimes you have to pay for those.
Well, no, not really. I mean, I found like
2.
I found like 3. And if you're being smart about your usage, you go into a boss fight and you're like, shit, I really need those runes. Yeah. You could probably, if you're playing well, if you don't rush it, if you maintain a calm and collective manner, which is hard when you play Dark Souls or Elden Ring, you can collect those souls And then you can die, and then just use the sacrificial twig instead.
Yeah.
But in the overworld, especially in Elden Ring, more so in Elden Ring than any of the other Souls games, running past enemies has always been a thing. But in Elden Ring, it's so much more easy. Not only is the map huge and expansive, so there's plenty of area to run to, you're also on a horse.
A lot of enemies will just chase you down to the ends of the earth, though.
Not really, not in my experience.
I've encountered a few of them.
Well, just keep running.
Won't leave you the fuck alone.
They just keep running.
No, you're right. Speaking about items, though.
Yeah.
What the hell is with that one item that's like, you teleport to a fast travel spot and lose all of your room? What is the point of that item?
So I figured it out, kind of.
You pay money / XP to fast travel, which you can do for free.
So here's what I figured out.
Okay.
There are certain dungeons, as you know, that do not allow you to teleport.
Yeah.
So what you could do, theoretically speaking, is you could go into one of those dungeons, just run away from everything, grab what item, maybe like an overpowered dungeon, run away from all the monsters you can't fight, pick up whatever items you want, and then at the end, if you're trying to do something like a deathless run or a speed run, you can use that item to teleport to a strategic bonfire outside of that dungeon that you can't normally teleport in.
Now, this is an item that has been in Souls-likes since the first Dark Souls, right?
Yes, and
I have a hard time believing that they designed that for speedrunners back then.
They probably didn't, but this is what I've come to see the use of the item. I watched a Dark Souls speedrun the other day. I didn't even mean to watch it.
Okay.
But I watched a Dark Souls Broken Sword speedrun, Deathless, Zero Lenny, put up a thumbnail. The man deserves it for trying to do a Deathless Dark Souls Broken Short Sword run. Anyhow, there is a use for it. Whether you like it or not, there is a use for that item.
Okay.
And to be, and
I mean, that's fair. I guess in terms of like speedruns and everything, that makes sense. To have that. I just think in terms of like the way the game is like intended to be played, it seems like a completely bafflingly useless item.
Yeah, and I'm sure maybe someone can get some use out of it. Like again, what you could okay, so here's just a simple thought that I'm going to throw out there. So when you first start the game, let's say you're playing a sorcerer. The sorcery is kind of busted. And you want to be really overpowered in the early game. Mm-hmm. So what you do is you talk to girl, Melanie, Melena, whatever. I'm forgetting.
Which one?
That's the girl who's like, I see you are maidenless. That girl. And you
I have something to show you afterwards. I'll edit it in right here and then put a link to the video. Mm-hmm. Wow, wasn't that funny, Grant?
Wonderful.
Okay. I'll show you later though.
But so, you talk to her, you get Torrent, you run down to the Agia Lake that is south of the Stormfront Castle. You go to the Dragonburned Ruins. You go to those ruins, because there's a teleportation trap that brings you to the Caelid Wilds. You go to Caelid, you pop out in I think it's the Crystal Tunnels of Sela, whatever. You run out like a little bitch, because you're like level, 10, 9, whatever, and this area is someplace that I would only go to at level 60. Fuck Caelid. Moving on from Caelid, you run out of the tunnel, and I might be wrong, this is just a food for thought that I'm thinking of right now. You run out of the tunnels, you ignore the bonfire in the tunnel, this is dumb now that I think about it. Because once you get out of the tunnels, you can teleport again, and it's like, oh fuck, never mind, this is dumb. In short, what people do to make sorcery really overpowered is they go find Rocksling, which is in the swamp of the Caelid region. You can get to the crystal tunnels of Ciela, or whatever they call it, through the teleporter trap at the Dragonburn ruins in the Agheel Lake. The crystal tunnel of Ciela, or whatever, is right next to that swamp, so you can pop out of the tunnel and just ride torrent across the swamp to get your broken ass shit. You just get the meteorite staff, you get the fucking rock sling. By the way, for the people at home, in case you don't know, I don't understand why if you play a sorcerer, you get all these cool spells, you channel the cosmos, you create a great bow of magical energy, you have all these cool ass things you can do. Hell, you can shoot magma. Why is it that the most optimal use of your spells is hucking rocks with gravity? I just I just want to know. I just want someone to explain to me why, out of all the spells, Rock Sling is the one that is the most busted for some reason. And I might be wrong. I might find something in the near future that's like that puts Rock Sling to shame. But Rock Sling's really fucking strong, and it makes no sense.
What I have found interesting and weird is so I have the broadsword, right?
Yeah.
It's the starting sword of the what's the class?
Confessor.
Yeah, it's the starting sword of the Confessor, and I have not found any swords of similar size that have a comparable or stronger attack strength than the starting fucking sword.
Well, so 1 to 2 things. Well, actually 2 things specifically. One, you have upgraded the sword, yes?
No, but it started off with a 125. I've not found anything at level 1 that had 125 or more.
Okay.
I mean, I found weapons that had more than that, obviously, but not. I'm an aesthetic guy as much as I am a gameplay guy.
Yeah.
And I've always thought the carrying around a sword 2 times your size looked fucking stupid. So I want a normal looking sword.
Not a man of Berserk, I see.
I've never watched Berserk. I have the utmost respect of it. Rest in peace. What's his name?
Oh God. It's bad that I don't remember because it is one of my favorite.
Okay, well, living legend, that guy. I put his name on the screen.
Yeah.
So I like just a normal looking, realistic sword that one would carry in real life.
Yeah.
And I've not found any swords of that size or shape that have at least 125 attack score.
So 2 things. 2 things. Again, it's because you're not upgrading your swords. But No. Let me finish. You're not upgrading your swords. I don't care what the base value is. If you upgrade your sword's going to do well. Regardless. The second thing is your stat expenditure. When you pick a weapon, you have to build with that weapon in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, one of my characters that I'm playing, I'm playing this game twice right now. One is a sorcerer that just throws rocks. That's, again, objectively the best thing to do. The other one is a faith-strength mix. And I had to do a lot of digging to find a weapon that matched what I wanted to do. And eventually I settled on the sword that Makar drops.
Mm-hmm.
And basically I came to this conclusion because I looked at the sword and I said, okay, Makar's sword is strength-focused and it's faith-focused. And those are the 2 stats I want my character to be good at.
I have a question.
Yes.
will the damage output of like, so I have this other sword that looks real nice. I really like it. It has, I think, an attack score of like 88, something like that, at its base level. But I don't have the faith to wield it properly. Does that decrease, like, the damage output?
It does.
Like the number itself.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you don't have the proper stats, it seems like you can still use the weapon as per intended. It's just the damage has a major fall off.
Okay.
And that was the same way with the Makar sword on this build until I got the required strength.
Okay.
Now, strength requirements are a bit finicky. You can cheese that.
Well, I mean,
you can
the strength is not the problem. I've been building my character as, like, purely vigor and strength this entire game, like, this entire time.
Yeah. So, you have to specifically look at weapons you want to use, and then decide, like, you know, that I want to use that because either the aesthetic draws you to it, or you think that there might be a really cool move attached to it. For example, I want to use the Sword of Night and Flame. That's a badass name. You want to know what you have to get to wield that damn fucker?
What?
You have to have 12 strength, 12 dex, 24 in intelligence, and 24 in faith.
Wow.
I have to make an entirely separate build for this shit. Or alternatively, and this is a really good thing that they added. I think this was very smart. This was a feature in Dark Souls 3, but it was a much more... You could easily miss this feature in Dark Souls 3. Because it wasn't tied directly to a boss. But if you beat... Spoilers. If you beat Renala... Spoilers, like, what? An hour and a half into this video? Whatever.
Has it been an hour and a half already?
Maybe.
Oh, no, it's been 42 minutes.
Okay, well...
Oh, wow, we've been talking for a while now.
Oh, yeah. Well, so if you
have a lot to say about this game.
Well, yeah, it's a great game. And it's, you know, again, it's a great game. There are flaws with it. But there's also a lot of depth. Anyways.
I think its biggest flaws, it's fucking cliffs. We'll get to the cliffs, I promise.
Back to the greatest thing they did with this game is that they added very in front of the player's face an option to respec your character.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that is all you have to do is beat Renala, and you are given, so long as you have a necessary item, and if you do Ronnie's quest line, Ronnie's the Witch's quest line, you get like 3 of them at least. So long as you have that item and you've beaten Renala, you can respec your character. Which I think is a great idea, because it gives people who are playing the game a lot. It allows them to, like, maybe make amends with their character. Maybe they didn't. You know.
Just take like the few points that I put into anything but vigor and strength and just like dump them into.
Yeah, well, dump them into faith because that's because that sword that you mentioned.
Oh yeah, I didn't like it special though, and apparently you can't put Ashes of War on it.
What was it special?
It was like this thing where you like charge it up, and then like the longer you charge it up, it's like just a swipe down, just one clean swipe.
Oh, is that the fucking Carrion Royal sword?
Maybe it's like a blue one.
Yeah, that's the Carrion Knight sword.
Yeah,
that's intelligence.
Is it intelligence?
Yeah, if it's the Carrion Knight sword.
Okay. Yeah. No, you might be right.
Anyhow, you know, there are options to make. Let's talk about Ashes of War real fast. Now that
I still don't really get them.
So
I have not fucked with Ashes of War at all.
Basically, what it does is it allows you to use your favorite weapon and apply it to your build.
Right.
So.
I mean, I haven't used any so far because I really like the stance up on the broadsword.
They made square off really good.
Yeah, square off. Yeah, I love square off, and I couldn't bear to not have it. It would completely throw me off. I've just been playing. My muscle memory is now just tied intrinsically to to square off.
Anyone with a great shield's kind of a pain if you don't have square off, it seems. But I mean, like, if you're also using a shield, then you're fine. I do not use a shield. Because fuck that shit.
I sometimes use a shield.
That's a good idea.
I use a shield when I don't know what I'm fighting. Because you were talking about the bosses earlier and how you don't like that you don't know... You have no way of knowing their attack patterns.
Or how much they'll...
Yeah, like, or how much they'll do, like when you first hop into the fight. That's when I equip the shield, usually, is so that I can defend myself while learning their attack patterns.
Yeah, but even then, they fucking tear through your stamina.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's why you dodge.
Well, then there's also, command grabs and all that.
Dodge. Keep your distance and dodge. Learn their attack patterns. It's weird that we both have problems, yet we don't agree with each other's problems.
No, not at all.
Especially the cliffs. I hate the fucking cliffs in this game, and Grant doesn't give a shit.
I understand what you're saying when you say the cliffs. But my retort to that is that there's clearly a way to these places, and you just haven't explored enough.
No, but okay, first off, I've done nothing but exploring in this game. Exploring and fighting monsters. That's the only thing you can do in this game is explore and fight monsters.
No, you can die.
Okay.
I'm an expert in that one.
No, the cliffs... Okay, well, just to elaborate on the cliffs for a second. The cliffs are very much perfectly and intimately designed by the game devs to keep you in your fucking box, to keep you from going places you're not supposed to go. And it's like, what kind of open world game is this? If you want to go north, you gotta go south, then left, then find a fucking specific little portal in the middle of nowhere that'll take you to a new location. And it's like, okay, the cliffs are a symptom of a larger problem.
Okay,
and that larger problem is that this game is not traditionally open world. Now, okay, I say problem in air quotes, because whether or not it's good or bad is not what I'm here to talk about. My personal problem, in my opinion, is that the game makes a lot of choices that I will die on this cliff. I firmly believe them to be the absolute antithesis of open world game design.
Okay.
If in open world game design, if you see that mountain, you want to go to that mountain, you walk to that fucking mountain.
Yes.
In Elden Ring, it doesn't work that way. Every I'll call them province of this game has defined entrances and exits. It's like a more open version of Twilight Princess as opposed to say Breath of the Wild. Okay. And I don't like that. If you want to go north of Stormville Castle, what is your choice to go north? You either have to go through Stormville Castle and beat the boss, which you're not going to do at early levels, or you can go across this bridge and go through this narrow little valley passage road to get north of it. You see what I'm saying? But there's these really narrow, specifically designed paths in an open world game.
Well, yeah, that's correct, but that doesn't make it not an open world game. My retort to that is that it is an open world game because you can go anywhere in the map. The only place you can't go to is Lindell, I believe, and maybe to the Land of Giants, I think, because you need a certain item for that lift to operate, whatever. But you can get to Atlas Plateau. You can get to where Lindell is at the start of the game. You can go north. The game is open now. If you're playing
I've traveled to places that I was only able to get to by accessing a very specific side quest.
But you don't actually need to access those side quests. I accidentally got to Atlas Plateau without even trying.
Okay.
Because I wanted to explore. And as I explored, I kept going up, and I kept going up, and then I fight Makar, and then I keep going up, and then it goes Atlas Plateau, and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm here now.
I wanted to go southeast of the starting area.
Southeast of the starting area. That's
It's like the very southern part of the map.
Oh, you're talking about like... Okay, you're talking about the Weeping Isle, or whatever it's called.
I think. Maybe.
Across the Bridge of Sacrifice.
Yeah, across the fuck off bridge bullied. With fucking... Yeah. Okay, so here was my thought when I first was doing that. I was getting bullied on that bridge, as you said, really hard. Yeah. And I was getting very frustrated with it. And I was like, wait, what the fuck am I thinking? This is an open world game. I'll just go around it. No, because the second you touch water, you die. And they explicitly designed the world to have this giant river crossing through that area, so you have to take the bridge, or there was like some other specific direction that you could go. Well, but again, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's all like... But to travel from one province to the next province, you have to go in a defined direction.
But I showed you the workaround.
Yeah.
I showed you that you can cross the gap between the Isle. And Limgrave. You can go to the Weeping Isle without crossing the bridge.
But even that that you showed me.
Yeah.
Was a defined entrance into the...
No, it was not. That was something that I made up when I was playing the game. I straight up looked at the map. I looked at the environment, and I said, you know what? I believe, because the horse has a double jump, and the jumps are not utterly wimpy, and the horse has a lot of speed, I bet if I jumped from here to there, it would work. And so I did.
One time?
And I, you know what? I'm sure there are other ways to get to it. Let's talk about entrances. Caelid, okay. The issue is I haven't played the game enough to know all the entrances. I think you're correct. I think Liarna only has 2 entrances, which is through the back of Godric's like little throne room or across the bridge. However, the game still allows you to go there. The game's not trying to hold you back. Now, there might be tougher enemies there.
The game absolutely tries to hold you. I have seen if you actually really pay attention to these cliffs and these rivers, you will know that these game designers put an impressive amount of effort into keeping you from going in certain directions.
Like what?
Well, for instance, when I was talking about the cliffs earlier, when I was talking about
Atlas Plateau, getting to Atlas Plateau.
It might have been Atlas Plateau. The area, I was trying to get north of the Erd Tree that is north of Stormville Castle. And there's that labyrinth area with all those Minotaur-looking guys. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we're talking... Okay, so you're going to need to put a photo of that so people know. But yes, I know the region you're describing.
Okay. Now, so that area, as well as pretty much every other area, is just filled with these cliffs that wall you off from going north. Because what I didn't know at the time was that you weren't supposed to go north from there. You were supposed to go back and go through a completely different direction to go north. Mm-hmm. And then there's there's these cliffs going up that you can't scale, so you try to go around them. And when those cliffs end, a cliff drops off that you can't pass by, or else you'll fall off. And then not only that, but then there's water. I don't know if in this specific area, but the rivers are just specifically there to keep. They're there to wall you off. The cliffs and the rivers are there to wall you off from going in specific directions, and they have been meticulously designed by the. I tried for hours. Okay. These cliffs and rivers have been meticulously slaved over by developers to keep you from going in specific directions.
So, in my opinion, this does go back to your argument of because I know the region you're talking about, and I know how to get up to that cliff. The answer is there's a back entrance way.
Right. That's what I'm saying. There are specific entry points into different into different provinces. You have to go in specific. That's exactly my point. I know that you can go.
You're saying that the game isn't
They didn't design that province to not be able to get to ever. So yeah, there's obviously a way you can get there, but it's walled off. You have to go in specific directions.
But that's still, I don't believe that's against open world policy. Because why? Like, there's geography that's preventing you, but that doesn't mean you're not allowed to go up there. The game, with the exception of Lindell. That the game actually stonewalls you at, and maybe the exception of the North Giant Lands, nothing's preventing you from going to these places.
You just have to know the specific way you're supposed to get there.
You have to explore. Like, I didn't know how to get up there. I took a guess. Because I was like, okay, I can't get through it from the north end. Maybe I can go around and there's a back end.
Well, okay, that's why I said the word problem in air quotes, right? Because whether or not it is a flaw in its game design is a discussion for another time. Maybe a discussion for later in the video. Right now, I'm not saying that it is a flaw of the game's design. I'm saying it's something that I have a problem with. And I do think that it goes against what open world games typically are trying to do, which is pure freedom. Every single open world game I have ever played, other than Elden Ring, allows, if I want to travel north, the answer is to simply travel north.
Okay.
In Elden Ring, that's not an option. That's not the way the game is designed. The game is designed to make you access these different provinces in specific ways. Even if there are, 2 or 3 specific ways. If you can't just travel north, they will and deliberately wall you off from going in any direction. From going to a different province in any direction.
But doesn't that encourage exploration? I think it does, because now it's like, okay, well, I can't go this way. There's got to be a workaround, right?
Okay. I mean, sure.
So I don't think that we're going to just have to agree to disagree on this, because I am not believing in your points. I firmly just don't see the issue with this. Like, I understand that, oh man, it really sucks.
I hate when, because every time I turn on the game multiple times, every play session, I'm like, okay, I'm looking at my map. Oh, I haven't explored this little area. I'm gonna go there. No, you can't, because there's a fucking wall of stone that is impenetrable. Or there's a fucking river. And it's like, okay, I'm going to have to spend hours of my time just trying to find little, nooks and crannies that might get me there. I lost my train of thought.
It's really funny because the light bulb just came up. You would think that means you had a thought, but the light bulb took it all away from you.
No. I've completely... Start talking. I've lost my train of thought.
Okay. Well, let's get back to the Ashes of War.
Okay, I think I think everybody out there understands the point I'm making. Some might disagree, some might agree, but everyone understands what I'm saying.
I think we have dried this talking point for the moment. I think everything that can be said for the moment has been said. And there's not much more that either of us can add to it as of the moment without some more research. But Ashes of War, let's talk about them, because you have told me you don't quite understand them.
I mean, I think I understand them. They basically just add different special moves to your weapons, right?
So they do more than that, actually.
Really?
But it depends on what whetstones you have. There's items called whetstones, right?
I don't think I've gotten any.
You probably have. I don't quite remember where they all are, but I know they're in Stormvale Castle. I know they're in... Okay, I know one of them's in Nokron. And there's a flame one that I still don't remember where it's at. But there's 4 of them at the very least. And what these items do is they allow you... whenever you do something with an Ash of War, you have to check. And you have to see what quality is related to that Ash of War. So, for example, let's say you want Square Off on I don't know if you can put it on a katana, but let's say you can put it on a katana.
Okay. I don't see why you shouldn't be able to put it on a katana.
Yeah. So you put square off on a katana.
Uh-huh.
When square off, and I'm just firing off the hip here, I don't know if this is correct, but when you add square off to a katana, you add a quality, and I believe that quality is it adds an affinity is what they call it. And it adds the quality affinity is what it is. When you add a quality affinity to something, what it does is it takes the dex and it takes the strength scaling of that weapon and it levels them out. So basically, that weapon can be used for what's called quality builds, which is 40 strength, 40 dex.
Okay.
That's what a quality build is. You can apply this to your broadsword. Your broadsword is a strength-based weapon.
Yeah.
It scales really shittily off dex. But maybe you want that to scale off. Maybe you want to do a quality build with it because you like the weapon. So you apply an Ash of War to it, and you get the quality affinity. So it can scale off both strength and dex. With a whetstone, you basically get to choose what affinity you add to that weapon regardless of the Ash of War. So, another example. Loretta Slash. This is an Ash of War, and it gives the magic affinity. So when you apply it to something, it automatically will make it go off of intelligence instead of whatever it went off previously. With a whetstone, you can choose to make Loretta Slash go off of a different affinity. You can choose to make it a flame affinity, which then not only will deal fire damage with the weapon, but also make the weapon scale off of faith instead. This is basically what Ash of War does. It allows you to customize a weapon that you like with maybe a feature that you like more. For example, square off. And then you can choose to make that weapon scale off of whatever your build uses. Which I think is ingenious. This has been a feature in Dark Souls for a long time. In Dark Souls 3, specifically, I remember you can do stuff like with putting fire enchantments on your weapons to make them run off of faith and stuff. It was never good in Dark Souls. At least in Dark Souls 3, it was viewed as suboptimal. In this game, I feel like, and granted, it's only like the game's been out for like less than a month still, maybe 3 weeks.
I think it's been about 3 weeks.
Yeah. So we don't.
I mean, as of the time of this recording, anyway.
Yeah. We still don't know everything to do with all these numbers and stuff.
Right.
But it seems like a decent option, especially when you have the whetstones and you can choose the affinity that these moves can scale off of. Because let's go back to. I'm gonna ask if you're understanding me right now, because you have a blank expression.
I half understand what you're saying, man. You're losing me at some points because I have just fucking
no idea.
Crazy ADHD brain. Okay. Like I can't. Sometimes I just have a hard time keeping track.
So let's talk about square off one more time.
Okay.
Because square off, again, as we mentioned, one of the greatest skills.
Yeah.
One of the greatest ashes of war that you can use.
I love square off, and I could not bear to get rid of it.
So, the thing with square off on many swords is that it doesn't really do damage through the shield. Now, I think the brass shields that certain guys use, that most modern NPCs use, it does not have a full physical reduction. Meaning that if you use that shield to block any attack, you'll always take a bit of damage.
You know what I never use? The parry. The shield.
I never use it either, but again, I don't use the shield. Because aesthetically, it's not my thing.
Yeah. I mean, kind of the same. I like it at least because it's got a lot of black, and I usually like making characters that wear a lot of black and blue.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I can't really get many black and blue clothings that look good, so I just go with black. This is the starting color.
Yeah.
For the Confessor.
But so...
I still have all my equipment from
the
beginning.
Yeah. But so, let's say, Sword Steel, physical damage. Square Off will do physical damage. Let's say you want to fight a Erd Tree Sentinel. Okay. Or I think it's Avatar is what they are. The weird fucking fat tree things with no head and the hammer.
Right.
Which is actually, for longtime viewers of Dark Souls, is just the fucking Asylum Demon as a fucking tree. Fucking fight me. Anyhow.
1v1 him in Dark Souls. Yeah. I mean,
you'll win. But I'll still be right.
But Grant, you've beaten Dark Souls.
Yeah, but that
doesn't makes you a pro gamer.
That doesn't mean that I'm good at competitive. it means that I can play PvE just fine. Anyhow, the Erd Tree avatars are really weak to fire.
They're also really weak to a plus 10 broadsword, apparently.
But imagine that plus 10 broadsword was given fire. Then they'd be really fucking weak to a plus 10 broadsword.
But then I wouldn't have square off, which is the
whole reason. Except that you could.
Oh, really?
This goes back to those whetstones. Those whetstones allow you to basically pick whatever skill you want and then apply a different affinity to it. If you don't have those whetstones, then you have to choose whatever affinity comes with the ash. So if you choose square off, you have to select quality affinity if you don't have a whetstone. But if you have the flame whetstone, you can still choose to make that a fire. You can make that a fire sword that still has square off.
Well, that is great to know, and I will look into that later. However, I feel this is getting a little too technical, and we should get into more broader topics.
Well, the Ash of War system is very technical, but it's very good.
Well, I believe you. With all my heart, Grant.
That is definitely the sound of someone who has utter faith in someone.
I have utter faith in you, Grant.
All right.
What do you want to talk about? Okay, how about just on a scale from 1 to 10? 1 out of 10. What would you rate this game? 1 out of 100.
1 out of 100?
Yeah. What would you rate this game?
I think if it's 1 out of 1...
Percentile. Give it a percentage.
I think... I would probably still have to give this game. Even with how much I don't like getting one-shotted by bosses. I would still have to give this game.
Which I think is actually more fair than you give it credit for.
No.
I think it is, because if you wanna not die to one shot, all you gotta do is not get hit.
Yeah, I understand.
And that's like tying it, because again, I have some problems with this game. The difficulty is not one of them. Losing runes does not make the game more difficult, and putting giant fuck-off cliffs in my way does not make the game more difficult. But the difficulty itself is not something that I have a problem with.
But, so what I like is the leeway to make a mistake. There's nothing, there's nothing really fun about just being oh, I messed up one thing and now I'm dead and I have to redo the entire fucking fight. That's not enjoyable.
Well, at least it's not like Dark Souls where it's oh, I died, so I gotta go all the way back to the beginning of the dungeon.
That's correct, but most of the time you can run past things in Dark Souls. And Elden Ring is no stranger to that. Do you know how many times I died at the Radigan fight in the Academy? You haven't been you haven't been to this place. Okay. I'm gonna put some footage up on the screen. I'm gonna get some footage for you to put up on the screen.
Okay.
And it's gonna be me running from the bonfire, running from the grace site in the Academy to the Radigan fight.
We gotta talk about that in a second too.
Yeah, well, because there's no stake of Marika between you and the Radigan fight. I understand that, they have the stake of Marika so they can get away with doing one-shot things. But they don't always have the stake of Marika. That's the issue. Now, I don't know if Ratigan can one-shot you. If you don't have any...
I mean, I'm sure he could definitely one-shot you if you don't have enough vigor.
Yeah, if you don't put any points in vigor. But, my question is... It's the scaling. Things scale really intensely. Because 22 vigor is pretty good. 22 vigor kind of gets you...
I have 40-something.
Well, allow me to explain what I'm saying. 22 vigor
I just wanted to
gets you...
I just wanted to show off my big gamer dick.
Yeah. 22 vigor allows you to get through the Margette fight very easily. It allows you to get through the Godric fight pretty well. Renala's fight is a bit hard, but it's certainly not difficult with 22 vigor. But then you go to Caitlyn. Then you go to Atlas. Then you get to the Makar fight. Makar, again, one-shots you if you're on 22 vigor. Radahn one-shots you if you're on 22 vigor. Especially, the first time you walk into Radahn's... When you walk into Radahn, and you have no fucking clue of what's going on, you see Radahn off in the distance, 20,000 miles, and you're like, I don't have to care. Because Radahn has never used a bow. You never get an on-screen clue that he's used a bow before. Until you walk into his room, and he just murderizes you. For the only reason of he had a fucking bow.
Now, to be fair,
Yes.
perfectly fair, you can see Radahn is the guy on the horse.
Yes.
You can see Radahn pulling the strings back on that bow from a mile of fucking way, and then he shoots it, and you have a million years to dodge that thing. You should know by the time it gets there that he has a bow, especially because the game gives you a fucking a tutorial pop-up 40 hours into the game, which is already a red flag, on how to use bows.
You see, I thought the game was just being weird whenever it did that. That's fair. But again, it's still the damage output, because you might not know the timing for the bow. I thought that I dodged that bow several times. Do you know what happens? Because most of the times, when you get shot at by a bow, you can just sidestep. Okay? You can't do that with Radahn's bow. You have to specifically dodge, and you have to dodge... You have to be very specific about how you dodge it. If you're not dodging into it, you have to time it very specifically.
I guess he didn't really... he didn't one-shot me at all at any point.
But your vigor was 35 or something.
Well, yeah,
right?
but also, Grant, you gotta have the foresight to have a lot of vigor when you're going into a fight with a fucking demigod. But you should have known.
Well, so most of the time with Dark Souls is the 27 cap. A lot of people are like, well, all you need to really do is get to 27, and you're pretty well off in the game.
Okay.
That's health that survives, most attacks. Even, really heavy hitting attacks. 27 gets you through it. But because I believe they changed the way that health scales in the game, 27 means nothing. 27 doesn't get you past 1,000.
You know what, Grant?
What?
I think you're just a fucking casual. I think, unlike me, you're just a casual FromSoft fan
who has basically stockpiled health. And has stockpiled strength, and those are the only that and endurance are the only three things you've invested in.
Listen, man, everyone knows multi-classing is never what you want to do.
And I don't multi-class. I don't. I have big fuck off intelligence and now a big fuck off vigor, but even then there are still things you get items like Ratigan's Sword Seal that increase your health. You get things like you use a rune arc on, let's say, Godric's Seal. That increases your health by 5.
But then again, you could have the STD that decreases your health unknowingly.
But what if you've learned about this and therefore have used the Baldachin's Blessing to get rid of that? Like, even then, like, it's just... I'm not necessarily mad that things are one-shotting me. Well, no, I am. What I'm mad more about is the sudden spike in the damage.
Uh-huh.
It's not... there doesn't seem... In my case, it didn't feel like there was some sort of, like, gradual curve in damage, where it's like, oh, you know, I'm taking a lot more damage. I need to be a lot more thoughtful, you know. I need to put some points into vigor. It's like, oh, suddenly I'm being fucking mauled by just basic-ass enemies.
Can we talk about the trap horsemen in the heroes' graves?
Oh, you want to talk about... Yeah.
God, those fucking things. Okay, I hate those. I don't like those. They're not fun.
They're...
And I think the biggest problem isn't even that they instantly kill me. The biggest problem is that...
You have to wait on them.
You have to constantly wait on them, exactly.
You have to wait on them, and then if you don't fucking know where you're supposed to go... That's the other thing. They're not... Like, if you know the level, they're a hassle more than anything. But if you don't know the level, they're infuriating.
Yeah.
Okay, so for people who don't know, let us explain very briefly. There's these mechanical horsemen that just pop up in certain dungeons. And they basically roll around.
Chariots, I guess?
Yeah, chariots. They're mechanical chariots. They have spiky wheels. They're fucking...
They have the most bullshit fucking hitboxes, too.
I've seen them go through. The wheels extend past walls in certain areas.
So bullshit.
Which is fucking stupid. But, like...
And yet...
Barring that, what happens is they use this as a trap. They use this to get a bit more lazy with their level design, so they don't have to work as hard. And it makes sense. They have made so many great levels in this game. Uh-huh. You know, the overworld has so many good levels. There's, like, let's talk. Nokron is great. There's Stormveil. That is also great. Stormveil is fucking huge. There's an entire basement that I missed my first playthrough.
Yeah, same. I killed like a boss at the end of that. Oh no, it was the spider thing that kills you at the tutorial.
Yeah.
I killed that. I was like, that must have just been the boss. I can't progress any further in this. All right, bye. And then it wasn't.
Yeah. And there's probably areas in Stormveil that I still haven't visited. There was an area just today that I learned of in the Rhea Lucaria Academy. And I went through I scavenged the fuck out of that place. Because, you know, I'm playing a sorcerer. Rhea Lucaria is all about that sorcery nonsense. But so, like, obviously, you know, not every area is created equal. And any fucking dungeon that possesses this fucking mechanical trash bag, this fucking garbage on gothic fucking wheels, this thing that was designed... You want to talk about padding out game time. This thing was designed to pad out fucking game time.
Yeah, not as much as losing the runes, though.
Well, this thing... I mean, I'm more mad about this thing than losing the rune. Because, like, if I lose my runes, that's fine.
Yeah, but
I can get back.
But if I'm
a good enough player.
Think about it this way: if you didn't lose your runes, then these mechanical chariots wouldn't be as annoying.
Well, it's because these mechanical chariots exist that losing my runes is so much more infuriating. For me, that's how that works. Because it's like, I know the reason isn't because I'm like it isn't because I'm a bad player and I'm not playing...
That's what we need to tell ourselves.
Well, no.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, it's what it is that they've designed this thing that intentionally just fucking kills you.
Yeah, it like one-shots you. And I've been dumping half of all of my skill points into vigor and strength. So, like, I have crazy high vigor. and
it still almost kills you.
And it still one-shots me.
Yeah.
The only times when it hasn't one-shotted me were when I was just, like, when it just nicks me. It nicks me in the booty, and I go flying and lose all of my health except for the tiniest sliver, which is, my eyes can't even perceive how small it is.
Yeah, and, like
my health bar just melts away.
Yeah. It's literally designed to pad out game time.
Yeah.
And, like, again, if you know where you're going, they're just, you know, they're a hassle is what they are. Mm-hmm. If you know where you're going. Because if you know where you're going, you know which spots are safe, and you know when you need to leave. All you have to do is maybe you have to wait on it. And that's really annoying, to have to wait on this arbitrary shit. When you don't know where you're going, like, in my case, in the Mount Gelmer hero's grave, it's fucking bullshit, because you don't know. Yeah, you don't know.
There's this one area.
So, like, you die, and it's just like, what? Like, you die, and you might, like, at the end of it, see where you're supposed to go. And it's like, fuck, I couldn't see that from all the way back there. Yeah.
There was this one dungeon with those chariots, and I was trying to figure out where to go, because all of them are, like, not only do they have these fucking one-hit kill fuck-off chariots that are just bullshit, and have the bullshit fucking hitboxes. Not only do they have those that will instantly kill you, they also make it a fucking labyrinth, and you have to figure out where to go while dodging these stupid ass chariots. And there was one where I was trying to figure out where to go, and I was like, okay, no, it's not there. So I try to go up instead of down, because there's this whole area. I'm like, okay, maybe there's like a doorway or like a threshold somewhere in there that I can hide in, and I just have to go north. I go north. Once you go north, you die, and there is no way to get back.
Yeah. So this is Mount Gilmer is especially bad, because Mount Gilmer, and here's the other thing, the chariot changes course.
Yeah, it does.
So, like, you don't know how much actual time that you have. That's why you have to make these stops, because you don't know, has it changed course? Like, it's just a pain, because then you have to relearn, like, how much time you have now.
Yeah.
You have to, and you still have to try to find where you need to go.
And that's not even to mention all the enemies that are trying to attack you while you're doing this.
Well, like, the enemies aren't as bad.
No, they're not.
As the fucking chariot.
No, they're not.
So Mount Gilmer is especially
another
bad.
Thing that adds to the fury.
Yeah, Mount Gilmer is especially bad, because half of Mount Gilmer is in lava. And so you have to dodge them while you're in lava.
Yeah.
Except that you don't. There's only one of them that you have to dodge in lava. The other you don't have to. But there's no way of you to fucking know that until you fucking decide to, you know, bite the bullet and try to traverse lava. The thing about the lava is it makes you really slow.
Yeah.
So it's an incredibly hard thing to be like, oh, well, let's fucking do this. These chariots are just fucking a hassle.
The one that I actually found the most annoying was the hero's grave way up north next to, like, the big boy Erd tree. Around the city. It's on the outskirts of
Lindell?
Yeah. That one I found the most annoying, because it was... I just didn't fucking know how to... and then I tried, you know, jumping off as, like, the final chariot, like, went down. I tried jumping off and then running up to the door, and it kept killing me. Apparently that was the answer, and I just wasn't going fast enough, because there's this lull where, like, when you hit the ground, you, like, you do a stop real quick. It still hit me at the end, but I still it just nicked my ass. And then after who knows how long, maybe an hour of me trying to get through this dungeon, I finally get to the boss, and I'm like, oh, thank God, there's a stake of Marika here. I'm finally at rest. And two fucking Crucible Knights with big swinging dicks come in and just wreck my day.
So that's not as bad as...
Oh, dude, the Crucible Knights were so frustrating.
Well, no.
I left the dungeon.
I'm not talking about the Crucible Knights, because I left that dungeon too for that exact reason. Yeah. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to try to, like, do this.
Yeah, I'm going to have to be, like, at least, level 140 before I try that.
Yeah, or you're going to have to summon someone. Unfortunately, there's no cross-platform play, so I can't help you.
Yeah, God, that sucks. Grant, next time you buy a game, buy it on your PC.
Maybe.
You got this nice big old PC.
Well, it's meant primarily for recording.
Well, but it's a powerful PC, though, right?
Assumingly, yes.
Like, it has a good graphics card and everything?
Pretty confident.
Well, there you go.
So let me talk about... Okay, so the Cave of Knowledge.
Okay.
The first place that you get dropped into in Elden Ring after you die at the Precipice of Anticipation.
Can you ever go back there?
Yes, you can.
How do you get back there?
You go through the 4 belfries.
I don't know what that is.
It is a location in western Liurna. If you fuck around on that left path,
Grant, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have not memorized the names of any of these provinces.
North of the castle is Liurna.
Which one? There's so many castles.
North of Stormvale Castle is Liurna. On that left path, if you fuck around on that left path, you will find the 4 belfries, and that can take you to like 3 different places. But you only get 1 key to start. You have to find the other 2 keys.
Okay.
Yeah. But so back to the Cave of Knowledge.
All right.
You know how that first area you're dropped off in after the scripted death.
Yeah.
There's those 2 statues that create this fog of light. Do you remember this at all?
I went back through the Cave of Knowledge just because I wanted to go back through an early game area last time I played the game. Mm-hmm. And I think I was too distracted by how they kept showing me the tutorial messages again.
So I guess it's called the Stranded Grave. So the Cave of Knowledge, or the Cave of Remembrance, whatever you call it, you go through there, you circle back out to that top location, you go through those doors, you get to that second grace site, and to the right are these fogs of light.
Oh!
So that leads to another hero grave with another chariot. And, the first time I did it, and the first time I got hit by the chariot, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm meant to come back here at a later level. So I did. I came back at level 70. I had like 8 health or something. And only through sheer force of will, basically by like dodging it and trying to basically get it to nick me, could I live one of those. There is a part of that dungeon where it's a very narrow pathway that overlooks a cliff, and the chariot stops very short behind you, so you don't have time to actually fully run past it, and it stops and if it goes before you, in front of you, and then turns around, it will always meet you while you're on this narrow pathway. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to drop down on one of the into the pit that runs on either side of this. But you can't drop down willy-nilly. You have to drop down at a very specific part. But it's like, how the fuck are you supposed to know that? Like, because if you look down, you don't... If you look down, I think maybe you can see it. But you have to look straight down, and you have the stress of dying one shot from this thing.
Is that the area with, like, the quadrupedal dude with the sword right after you drop down?
So if you drop down, there's 2 pathways, and if you go through one of them, you get 2 quadrupedal dudes, you get 2 grafted scions that just fucking jump you. That's that area. That's... Yeah. My point is, the chariot was a bad decision.
Yeah, I don't like the chariot.
And it's designed merely so they can design, like, a difficult level that's not really difficult. It's artificial. Because, like, most of the time you're not dying because of the enemies, because you're playing poorly. It's because you either get frustrated, or you're tired of waiting, or you simply don't fucking know what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then you get nicked.
Yeah.
Chariot's a fucking bad design.
The chariot, yeah, I hate the chariot. For a second, I want to talk about, because you called the Sites of Grace a bonfire earlier.
Because
because Dark you're Souls, a long time
longtime Dark Souls fan, and they're fucking bonfires.
So when you came to my house to teach me how to play the game because I didn't know how to play the game,
let me clarify. I didn't teach you how to play the game. You knew.
I taught
you how to like poise break, and riposte,
which I did, which are vital to this game.
It's very vital. But you knew how to play the game. It's just you needed help. Kind of knowing where to go, which is fair. If you don't know what you're doing,
knowing where to go,
you didn't know where to find the Liurna like crystal mines.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why you came over. You came over because I didn't know where to find those mines.
Yeah, and then
but you came over, and really the biggest help you did was you taught me how to play the game.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
So anyway, back onto what I was saying. Is that entire time you kept calling the runes souls?
Yes.
Because of Dark Souls?
Yes.
And just off topic, I was playing with the Xbox controller and you said the triangle button. I just want to throw that in there. But after that night, I kept calling, because I played this game with my fiance a lot. Mm-hmm. She sits next to me, and while I'm complaining and shit and screaming at the top of my lungs, which I actually do, that's not hyperbole.
I mean, that's a soul.
I keep accidentally calling the runes souls, and at one point I'm just like, God damn it, Grant, and my fiance is like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And you're like, they're not souls. They're called runes.
They're called runes.
And this it's an interchangeable term. That's what it is. Like yes, they're called runes, but they're souls. They're the same thing. They're both the experience and monetary system of the game.
Which I really like that. I really like that the money and the XP are the same. I'd love it if like Zelda did that at some point. Kind of like made it a more loose RPG again, where like you could level up your attributes by spending a ton of money. Mm-hmm. That'd be cool.
Yeah. And so, okay, let me collect my thoughts here. Because there was something I wanted to talk about. Oh, I wanted to talk about leveling up.
Okay.
And specifically kind of that the way that the runes are incorporated into the game. Because what I discovered very early on is that you really don't need to put many attributes. Like, maybe if you want, like, a certain weapon early on. You don't, you might invest into attributes, like dexterity, strength, so you can use these weapons that you want to use. But really, what you should do is you should just say, fuck the offensive attributes. And just level up vigor. Because you're going to get more out of upgrading your weapon instead of leveling those attributes in the early game.
That's true. I mean, you only get 1 damage point from leveling up your strength. And like mid to late game, I'm using Makar's sword. I think I got it leveled up to a +6 right now. Whenever I put a point of attribute or faith into it, I'm leveling up. In strength, I'm getting like 3 damage off of it, which is a lot more than, if, I put a point in like just a basic broadsword. Mm-hmm. And if I put it in faith, I'm getting 2 extra damage to it. So it really is a lot better, unless like there's a very specific weapon you want to use from at the start. Are you looking at? I was looking at the time.
Yeah, this might be like a part 2. Like, we might cut this up in 2 parts or something.
No, I mean, I think we can release it's a discussion video. People are probably just going to listen to it. If anybody listens to it, they're probably going to listen to it on headphones while at work or something.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know a friend of mine who will probably really like this video because he will just be able to work on shit and just hear us discuss video games.
I was looking at it. It's currently after midnight right now.
Yeah, we're gonna have to pack this up soon, but I just to recap the whole leveling thing. I would argue that sometimes, like, let's say you have a very tight window on how many runes you have, and you can either choose to level up or you can choose to upgrade your weapon. I would almost argue in the early game, it's much better to upgrade your weapon.
Yeah, I would
to
agree.
level at any point.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
So when's Elden Ring 2?
So I'm convinced that we will not have a second Elden Ring.
That sucks because I'm pretty sure, I mean, just based off of how much people are talking about it on the internet, I feel pretty sure that this is probably the best-selling FromSoft game so far.
I think it is. However, so when I say that we will not have a second Elden Ring, I think we will get, FromSoft will keep making games.
They're probably going to make another game that's very similar, like an open world.
Yes.
But it's not going to be the same world.
Yes. I think Dark Souls 3, like just the Dark Souls trilogy in general, has left kind of like a bad taste in their mouth. I think it really does seem that whenever FromSoft is given the creative freedom, not to expand on existing work, but to make new things, like Bloodborne. Bloodborne is traditionally, before Elden Ring came out, regarded as the best Souls game. It makes so much sense. Bloodborne is a very exciting game. It's very fast-paced, unlike the original Dark Souls, especially unlike Dark Souls 2. Fuck that game. And it has a very intricate world, intricate level design, and the weapons are fucking baller. It
has guns, right?
Yes, it has the guns. It has trick weapons, so every weapon has two forms, which is how they can get away with not having as huge of a selection as like a Dark Souls game. Because a lot of the Dark Souls stuff, it's like, oh, here's a knife. Here's a slightly bigger knife. Here's a knife that works on ghosts. Dark Souls, a lot of the choices are, comes down to maybe a bit of damage, maybe like a crazy skill that might be related to it. But overall, it's just kind of an aesthetic thing, and it's just kind of like a numbers thing. There's nothing really different that differentiates. Yes. There's nothing that makes there's nothing in the moveset really that makes one knife different from another knife.
Okay.
In Bloodborne, every weapon is different. The only weapon that is vaguely similar to the other is the Saw Cleaver and the Saw Spear. That made a lot of people excited for that game. And yeah, when they're and Bloodborne has no connection to the Dark Souls universe whatsoever. The only thing similar about these two is that when you die, you lose your currency, you lose your XP, and they're both hard games. But I mean, Bloodborne, I'm pretty sure it sold a lot better than any of the Dark Souls game. No, it didn't. I lied. If it was allowed to be released on every console, it would have.
Okay.
I think the only reason it was held back was because it was released as a PS4 exclusive, which makes me very happy because I have a PS4.
So you helped me out a lot with this game when we first started, and you came over to my house and we played the game for a few hours, and you showed me the ropes, and you helped me out a lot. You also messaged me later on, and you told me, oh, by the way, there's the Beast Seal.
Yeah.
That scales off strength.
Yeah.
And then at some point during that night, you mentioned that you didn't know what the mausoleums were all about.
Yeah. And
then eventually later on, I found out how you get into the mausoleums.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to try and give a little bit back to Grant.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell him that I can find my way into the mausoleums. By that time, you'd already fucking found out. So then later after that, I was like, oh, I found this really good grinding spot. You can get like 300 runes for every enemy that you kill, and they're all 0 effort kills. And so I was like, I'll tell Grant about it. It'll be great. And then you messaged me back, oh yeah, there's this place underneath the beast place. Each one of them give
right outside,
1,000.
Right outside the beast.
It's no big deal.
Right,
and I'm just like, fucking Grant, just let me have this.
So it should be noted that I have a serious addiction when it comes to Elden Ring.
Yeah.
I will literally be like, okay, I'm gonna just play this game for an hour. and then 6 hours will roll by. It's fucking 6 o'clock. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I got work in 2 hours. Like, I have a problem with this game. Yeah. So like
I took a vacation day, and I was at one point I was playing the game, and I was like, shit, it's like 12 o'clock. It's like noon right now, and I'm gonna have to get up at like 5 to go to work. I'm just gonna message my supervisor and ask him to take some family-friendly time.
I'm trying to remember. That happened when I came over to your house. Yeah. To play. For disclaimer, Lake works night shift, so his sleep schedule.
I work graveyard shift.
Yeah, excuse me. So his sleep schedule is very different from mine. Yeah. And so, like, for me, playing till like, I think we played until like 5 o'clock or something, or like 4 o'clock in the evening. We played like for me, nothing. For you, it was. You might as well just pull 24 hours. Yeah. It's just one of those games because of the formula, because combat feels so rewarding. It's really fun to just beat the shit out of things. Yeah. It's a lot of the game is so in depth. The characters are engaging, and you want to know more about them. The game has so much that just makes you want to keep going, that you legitimately get lost.
The moment that
in the world,
you were giving me pointers and everything, and I finally killed Margit, which was the worst boss fight I've ever had to do. That second worst boss fight I've ever had to do in any video game. Up to that point, that was a magical moment. That was a magical fucking moment.
And really, when we talk about Dark Souls, that is the Dark Souls experience. That is the Souls experience.
Worst boss fight I've ever had to deal with in any video game?
Which one?
Thunderblight Ganon on Master Mode in Breath of the Wild. That's Dark Souls level hard.
I was about to say, so I've never done Master Mode, but I do know that Thunderblight Ganon is a bitch.
Thunderblight Ganon is a bitch on regular mode.
Yeah.
On Master Mode, you have to know how to cheese the game to beat that boss fight. Anyway, do you have any closing statements about Elden Ring?
Despite some of my grievances, and sometimes how much I get pissed off by them, I think this game is an utter fucking masterpiece.
Yeah.
Definitely Game of the Year material. Definitely should be a candidate, if nothing less.
Personally, I hope either Resident Evil 8 or Breath of the Wild 2 gets that title. Those are Resident Evil and Zelda are my babies.
Mm-hmm. And obviously this is my baby, so I'm going to be biased towards it. I'd say this game... I've seen someone describe this game. Zero Lenny, again, we're going to name drop him. He's described this game as perfection. It is the masterpiece of the Souls, of Soulsborne. And I mean, he's right. Like, just everything about this game, from like the art style, from the engaging characters, from just like the new features they added. Everything about this game just makes you want to play it and play it more. Sometimes it's not for the best of reasons. Sometimes it's you're mad and you want to play the game more to give it the Dickens, which usually does not work well. Usually you just get more Dickens. But a lot of the time you're playing it just because you want more out of it. And I mean, this game has so much, just oceans. There's shit that I'm still finding that I didn't know was there.
Yep.
So, any thoughts you had on closing it?
It's a good game. It's pretty good.
Maybe we should have flipped. but
okay. Yeah. It is a fantastic game. I up until Elden Ring, I have never felt the desire to play a FromSoft game in my life. I saw Sekiro, didn't care about it. I saw Bloodborne, it looked kind of cool, not my cup of tea at all. Dark Souls, a little bit more, I was kind of interested in it, but I didn't like how, you create your character and then you start the game off and you're an ugly son of a bitch. Didn't like that. I like to create my character and just have that be the character. FromSoft games have always turned me off, but this one has got me interested in more FromSoft games. And I think next time they show off a new game, you know, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be checking it out. I'm gonna be following its progression, and that's cool. You know, I have a new series, quote unquote, of games that I'm into.
Yeah, you have a new developer that you're interested in.
So, asked this question earlier. We never really answered it.
Okay.
What percentage would you give it?
I'd probably give it like a 99.5 or something.
Okay.
Like, you know, I have grievances, but I mean, I can really not speak to the quality of this game.
Right. I think I would give it either an 87 or a 90. I love the game. I'm having an absolute blast with it so far. I still haven't beaten it, but I really love it. I think my biggest problem is just how open I think this game isn't really.
Mm-hmm.
It's an open world game, but it just does some things that I disagree with. But other than that, and like maybe like how the losing runes is handled, absolutely terrific game. When I get home, I need to go and recommend it on Steam. I'll do that.
No. I will just force my coworkers to buy it. I'll hold them at gunpoint and be like, you will buy this game and you will enjoy it.
It's amazing how many people online are talking about it right now.
Yeah, man. Well, it's just a huge game.
Yeah. It's pretty big.
And I guess last thing to touch up on, especially if you've played a sorcerer or you've played any caster in the past in any Dark Souls game.
Get rock throw?
Well, no. What I'm going to say is Dark Souls has always had a very limited amount of sorcery options.
Okay.
Sorceries have always been they've always been the same. They've always been like a powered up version of a different sorcery you've already had.
Now, is this going to be closing statements material, or should I edit this part out and put it earlier?
You can decide whether or not you want to like put this earlier or if you want to close it.
Okay.
With this, this is just something that I want to get out there because it's very important for people who have played Dark Souls before. Dark Souls does not offer a lot of variety in their casting. Pyromancies will always shoot fire. Maybe you'll upchuck a rock or something. But you know, it's always fire based. There's nothing, too crazy going on there, right? Faith casting will always be, lightning spears. Nothing interesting besides that. Sorceries will always be, I channel a part of my soul to fuck something up. Nothing interesting there. In this game, for fucking once, there's a legitimate variety in your spellcasting. Sorcerers can shoot fucking lava. They can use gravity-based spells. They can use invisibility-based spells. Same thing with incantations. You have Dragon Communion, you have Beast, and they have staffs that they have items that encourage you to play those types of spells. To play to the theme.
Uh-huh.
That is just a remarkably refreshing thing because it's never been in the game before.
All right. So everyone out there, go play Elden Ring. Yeah. Moral of the story: Elden Ring needs a pause button. Goodbye, everyone.
No.
and Sir Gideon Othniel. May all